All right, man. So I know that like it's late. Like DC Fandome was a while ago now,
Yeah.
but I had technical difficulties with my mic and headset and shit and whatever. I'm a huge DC fan. Specifically I love Batman like no other. So we're gonna talk about specifically the movie shit that was revealed at DC Fandome. Those are the Batman,
Very
Robert
exciting.
Pattinson, the Batman, and then Flash. Let's do Flash last, and then
Okay.
Black Adam, Aquaman 2, and Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I think that covers all of them that were announced. But yeah, so the
Sounds good to me.
Batman.
I cannot express my hype, mostly
I
because
hope
I've
it's
just
good.
suddenly and recently. I mean, here's the thing.
If they fuck
I'm
it
not
up
going to put it
somehow,
too high on a pedestal this time because, close that, it's no bright. Because the last time I did that, I was disappointed, but it was still like the movie was still good. Like, I want this to not be Batman Year One, the animated movie done in real.
yeah, I
I
know what
want
you
it to
mean.
be better than that. It can be the exact same plot for all I care, but I just wanted to strive to address more of the things I think Batman is that they don't represent always. Like, I want him to be really aggressive this time.
Oh, it looks like he's gonna be. I mean, that
And
trailer,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. That's what I'm saying. It looks good. I'm hyped, but I'm not gonna like
I
be
know
like,
what
oh
you
no,
mean.
they did this. I'm just gonna like let some stuff roll off my back if
I
they
will
do some stuff
say,
right.
I will say this. So, I see what you mean by year one. It's giving me a lot
Yeah.
of Earth One vibes.
Oh,
Earth
I
One
don't know
is
much about Earth One.
the one where like Alfred is like he was a bad
Oh, the
motherfucker,
Marine or
but he's missing
the
a
Royal Marine.
leg,
Yeah.
and he's got
Okay,
a
I do
prosthetic
actually
leg.
know a little bit.
So, because that
Yeah.
one, volume one of that story starts out. Uh, the reason it's giving me the vibes, like we saw in the trailer of this movie, it looks like this isn't going to be an origin for Batman at all, but it looks like it
Right.
might be an origin for the Bruce Wayne persona because it looks like
Yeah.
he's already back in Gotham. Like he's whatever. If he left Gotham and did all the training and shit or whatever, he's already come back and he's already started being Batman. And it looks like he already has somewhat of a relationship with Gordon. Like Gordon's allowing him to come in on crime scenes and shit like that. What this trailer does not show us is him having a strong presence in Gotham as like billionaire Bruce Wayne. Like it looks like he
Right.
doesn't really give a fuck about his Bruce Wayne identity. He is just all in on
Which
Batman. And
that's what makes me think of Year One Man.
that's Earth
He
One. I'll
made
tell you that
some,
right now. Like that's
or I
100%.
mean, same. What I mean is like that
Yeah,
origin of Batman,
yeah,
era Batman, is what it strikes me as. I think it's going to show a lot of rookie Bruce Wayne mistakes, which will be very interesting to Batman fans. I
yeah.
worry if it will be interesting to other fans. I would be personally interested in seeing him make the mistake of going downtown to talk to a prostitute to try to solicit information from her, not realizing that she's going to fuck him up because he's billionaire Bruce Wayne. The fuck do you think you are? Like he didn't have the mindset yet.
Well,
He
he's
calls himself Batman. He thinks he's Batman. He's got to learn how to be Bruce, which they
yeah,
never really show in the movies. He always just is. But there
yeah.
was a curve of
I mean,
being
so
back and being Bruce.
the Batman Begins and the Dark Knight trilogy definitely showed that like he knew how to put on the Bruce Wayne persona, but it came naturally. Like it's not something he had to adapt to. When you are correct though, like in most comic book origin stories of Batman, he gets back to Gotham after all of his like training or whatever, and it's the Batman crime fighter persona that comes naturally to him and what he's super
Yeah,
interested in. It's learning to be the fake billionaire playboy. That's what takes a minute. And then there's also been some interpretations like the animated Long Halloween movie, as well as
yeah.
in
Just
as
watch that.
that as well as the Earth One graphic novel series starts out. He really has to learn how to be a
Yeah,
detective. He doesn't really know how
yeah.
to be a detective. That I don't
I like.
like,
I kind of liked
but
it. I
yeah,
we're different sides of the coin
that's
on that
fine.
one.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
actually did like. I didn't like how they executed it. I like the idea. I thought that they just ham-fisted it though, because they were just like he
Yeah.
rolled from one mistake into the next, and I was like, I don't think he would initially be that bad of a
Yeah.
detective. because to be a League of Assassins member, he would have to be at least like a rudimentary assassin.
Well, that's the
So he'd
thing.
have
Is
to
like
know how to like find a person and kill them.
that's always the thing that like that gets me with the stories where it does him like he doesn't know how to be a detective right away. Because then for me, it's like, okay, what exactly did he go train in then, other than to just beat the shit out of people? Because like it's
Yeah,
like,
he was a
but then again,
full-on assassin in my mind.
like we see in Earth, not Earth One, in Year One, he wasn't really. His approach to crime fighting was he had a very rudimentary understanding of it. It was like, I'm just going to be able to go out here and like intimidate the information I want out of people with my fists. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm not going to have to coerce. I'm not going to have to terrorize. I'm just going to be able to just punch them until they tell me
Right,
what I want to know. And then once they tell me what I want to know, I will use that information to go punch some more people. Like, so
right.
that does kind of support the idea of him not knowing how to be a detective. But my problem with that is, are we or are we not going to build to a point where he is an amazing detective? Because for me, especially in like the greater DC lore surrounding Batman, where he's commonly referred to as the world's greatest detective,
Greatest, yeah.
you don't become the world's greatest detective just by figuring it out in Gotham City while wearing a bat suit. Like, no,
No,
you need some formal years of training and education. If you want to be the world's greatest detective, that means you've had years of formal training and education in being a detective. So I tend to lean more to the side where I'm like, I like that part of his years spent traveling the world was when he like apprenticed himself to this great private detective in Europe named Henry Ducard, and like he learned from him. I like that because that leads more credibility to him being the world's greatest detective. I don't think he could become the world's greatest detective if he's just like figuring it the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, so
no, I agree. I think that I like an element of the learning to be a detective in Gotham City,
sure.
but not wholesale. Is you know what I mean? Like when I say he's an assassin in my mind before he's Batman, is because that's where his training comes from. I refuse to believe that the League of Shadows left out of his training, and this is how you track a guy based on if he's in a city, if he's in the woods, if he's in the desert. This is how you track him. If he's in the city, which Batman would have loved to hear about, it would have been like find people that know him, find information about him from his residence, trail him, follow, find his car, bug it.
Money.
Like they would have,
follow the money.
track his money, go, do what you've got to do to find a trail of this person. There's no way to send assassins from a League of Assassins just blind into the world. How the fuck would they ever get anything done? They literally would have to be the best detectives, at least at finding people. Manhunters, yeah. So he would have had a basis as a manhunter, which is why I would want his first year. If I could remake that movie, which I would love to do, if I could do his first year, it would be him very aggressive, making a lot of mistakes fighting people, trying not to kill him because he is just a hyper aggressive person right now. He was just trained to kill people. Only thing he's not going to do is kill him. But that doesn't mean he won't make some mistakes fighting him.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I want him to be too aggressive, like trailing people, like follow people to their house and beat the shit out of them. And realize he's making mistakes, fall into easy traps because he's learned only the basic part of tracking, not the people are smarter than you think part. And then the third layer of that is learning Gotham itself. I want to see him have no contacts to suddenly, like, instead of beating the shit out of this dude in the alley, he's like, if I come back, I want you to tell me what I asked you, whatever it is. And then he just leaves. Like start making those. That's more interesting to me. That's more becoming the world's greatest detective than just being like, fighting people is hard. And I made the wrong choice. And that guy got shot for it. I'm like, no, that's not. He's already seen people get shot. He saw his mom and dad die when he was a kid. That's not going to shock him that much.
Yeah.
The failure is going to shock him. And that wasn't that good. It was just those movies weren't very good.
And it's always kind of cool and funny and whatnot to see the whole like dangling someone upside down over a skyscraper thing. But that gets a little overly played out after a while. And it's like at a certain point, it's like, I'm sure that like, at a certain point, like criminals would understand, like he's not gonna actually drop me, like, but it's still scary.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's not gonna.
The Joker knew right away.
The Joker didn't care.
He was like, "You're gonna kill him."
The Joker.
Exactly. He's like, "If you drop me, that'd be fine." The very first thing he does in Arkham Asylum, once you find him after he escapes, is he's standing on is a callback to Arkham Knight. I realized he's standing on this iron cage that goes into the isolation chamber.
Yeah.
Which in Arkham Knight, spoilers, but I don't care. In Arkham Knight, you close the Joker in it in your mind and push him into the isolation. So that was a full circle. That was one good thing about Arkham Knight. But anyway, Arkham Asylum, he's standing on this iron thing, and he's like, "I'll give you one chance." He goes, "Just shoot that thing down and end it right here." And Batman's like, "I won't do that." And Joker's like, "Yeah, I fucking knew it, pussy." And then he just goes back into the isolation. Like, that's Joker doesn't, because he called him once and he goes, "Oh, well, I win.
Yeah.
You won't kill me." So
yeah. I don't. Okay, so
Dark Knight Returns, if you don't like the Joker perpetually living part, that one pretty much puts the kibosh on that guy. So spoiler alert.
What was I gonna say? Okay, so other than Bruce, the rest of the cast for the Batman. Andy Serkis as Alfred.
So that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I haven't seen enough footage of him as it, but Andy Serkis is awesome.
Yeah,
he played Gollum,
fine.
And he played Claw.
Dude's got range.
So he's got range.
So,
and I imagine him as Alfred, as a Marine, like an ex-Marine, is pretty believable. He kind of has that look, the Frogman look.
And it also it looks like the Batcave in it from what we've seen in the trailer and whatnot. Another thing that's giving me Earth 1 vibes is like it does not really look like Bruce is relying on his family fortune as much as he could. Mm-hmm. It's a little more of him and Alfred, just like very grungy, just on their own, getting their hands dirty. Like the Batmobile just looks like they bought an old sports car and souped it up.
Yeah. And maybe they did. Maybe this is a whole like, Bro, I would love if it was like a Volkswagen Beetle that they just like armored the shit out of. They're like, it's the Batbug.
I mean, it still looks like it's going to handle, and he's got a bat cycle too. We've seen that in the trailer and stuff. But even the bat cycle just looks like a normal motorcycle, like an off-roading motorcycle that he just put like a bat ear emblem on the front of, like made out of metal.
Classic Batman.
And then his
suit, bat spray.
The suit itself, I'm coming around to it. I hate that the emblem, like you've said, I hate that the emblem is like a movable mechanical
I gotta look
piece.
This up again.
Like, can it not just be a bat?
Yes.
Like,
I have a gripe about that in general in Batman, like animation. Can you guys stop making it so that it's part of a moving armor plate? It just looks so bad every time. Anytime I've seen it, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Up close, it's worse. But the Arkham Knight suit, awesome, super cool. The bat symbol moves in the middle.
Yeah.
Why? The whole point of it is that it's the most armored part of his body. So just leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's a solid plate. The Arkham Knight makes a joke about that, and in my brain I go, it's not even true at this point. Like, you're wrong. So he's like trying to show off how smart he is, and he's like, oh yeah, and the bat symbol, don't aim for that. It's a trick. It's the most armored point on his body. And I was just like,
you mean this part with all these cracks and crevices and like
if you
gaps
shoot dead center or here, you're gonna fucking kill me. So you got a lot of options.
Yeah.
Really go ahead and just go wild with it.
But other than that, his Robert Pattinson's suit is growing on me. I like Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I like Colin Farrell. You can't even tell.
No, as the Penguin, I'm psyched. Okay, Penguin done right can be a great villain because he's a weak shit, and the instant you get your satisfaction is the most satisfying shit ever because you see how genuinely weak he is. Batman just like punches him once, he's like, please no, and he's beats the shit out of him. The best feeling ever.
And like, we
but
might
he's
see
a
that
monster
in this movie.
Up to that point.
We might see that in this movie because we saw in the trailer the scene where like they're in some kind of warehouse or factory, and Bruce beats Batman beats the shit out of all of his henchmen, and then right as he's about to turn on Penguin, you see Penguin do the well, take it easy, sweetheart. Like,
of course,
they're doing like it's Penguin, it's Oswald Cobblepot, but they're going with a more like Goodfellas, Tony Soprano style gangster.
It makes more sense.
It does.
You know that they make, man, everything I'm hearing right now, I can relate back to all the Arkham games. In Arkham City, when you run Penguin's henchmen, it's fun for me. I'm a weird person to just sit there and listen to the shit that they'll say. And they'll say some funny shit. One of my favorites is, do you think he puts that accent on to make us feel more scared? And I was like, oh shit, I never thought about that. He has a random, it's not even a North Atlantic accent, which you guys might know. You know what that is, Andy? You know that like
I know
Audrey
what
Hepburn kind of thing.
I know what you're talking about. Like I can
Oh,
hear
I'm going down to the set. I'm going down to the train this evening, and we're gonna go see a
yeah.
picture. Yeah, I'm terrible at it. But
I can
that's
hear
like
it.
transatlantic.
I can hear
Yeah,
the penguin's accent in my mind. Like
if
yeah.
he was doing transatlantic, it would make sense because he's supposed to be from like the aristocracy. If he was doing a gangster accent, it would make sense because he's a fucking gangster and he also grew up around them.
Yeah.
A British accent makes absolutely zero sense. It's the one that, why would you choose that one when you have two other great ones? And now they're changing it, which I don't think gangster would have been the first one, but that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's gonna
it works.
fit. It's gonna work, I think.
And then Paul Donno is the Riddler. We haven't even seen we haven't even seen his face. He's the kid in There Will Be Blood.
Oh, okay.
The preacher kid.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's the Riddler, but we haven't even seen any pictures of his face. We've seen him with his Riddler, almost looks like a gas mask on. But I heard someone say somewhere along the line, like the vibe that this trailer is giving them is that it's going to start off on a night where Batman's called to this crime scene because they've caught the Riddler in the act. And then they take the Riddler to jail. And then Batman visits him in jail. And then Riddler reveals, like, yeah, you got me, I'm in jail, but I've set up this crazy puzzle trap throughout all of Gotham that's going to, like, and even though the Riddler's already in jail, Batman has to go throughout Gotham and stop what he's set in motion. And that's going to where the Penguin's going to get drawn into it and other shit like that.
That would be great. I wonder if there are any other villains that we don't know about. Like maybe they'll make a Two-Face appearance. Penguin and Two-Face are like, in my opinion,
I don't know.
If you're gonna combo villains, you got to do those two.
I would just say, like with Two-Face, this seems a little too early in his career as Batman for Two-Face to already exist.
Oh, you think he's still Harvey? Okay.
Yeah, like I don't see him at the beginning of this movie. I don't see him having been Batman for more than a year. A year is like max.
Can we just like agree though that the Harvey Dent storyline is done? Like it's not even the best representation of it I've ever seen was genuinely in The Dark Knight. I've seen a couple others now, and I thought they were okay, but I think they've nailed it with The Dark Knight. So the next time we do it, can we just make it like a scene like they did in the Batman series, where it was like just like a flashback displaying what happened and a little bit of like, I know people don't love story just being explained to them, but just a quick one.
The only problem with that is like, we'll see. I don't know. It's really just going to depend on like
just like Two-Face is more interesting than Harvey is my opinion.
Harvey
becoming Two-Face is good, but it can be very short and it's more interesting.
One of the reasons why Ben Affleck as Batman ultimately failed, and it's not because he was bad as Batman. It's not because it's because in trying to go with this like, oh, he's this older Batman who's been around the block quite a few times already. It's like, okay, but one, you just cut out like 20 years of Batman's story and lore that we would kind of like to see represented in this new movie universe. And then also, by doing that, you've automatically started Batman out at a much older age, and finding an actor who is in their mid-40s and telling them, hey, you're in your mid-40s and we need you to now get in incredible superhero shape and stay that way for like the next 10 years. That's where you're going to kind of
good luck.
Yeah. So, it's easy to find like an actor in their late 20s and say like, hey, we need you to commit to being physically fit for the next 10 years. It's not so easy to find
no hate on Matt Damon, but there's a reason we don't see 10 more Jason Bourne movies coming in the future.
Yeah.
Like he's chilling out. He's making the Zookeeper 5 and he's going to be he's done. He's like going to make some good movies that don't involve sprinting anymore.
Well, and like that's another thing.
It's hard to convince them.
I don't ever want to see Batman get to the point of like Taken 3 where they had to do like an 18 cut shot of Liam Neeson just getting over a fence. Because have you seen Taken 3?
No.
Dude, there's a scene
I think I saw the movie. I think I did. I just don't really remember
There's a scene where he's chasing a dude, and the dude goes through a backyard and jumps over a fence, and then Liam Neeson has to jump over the same fence. When the dude did it, they just shot him jumping over the fence. When Liam Neeson did it, they had to do like an 18 camera cut take to try to disguise the fact that Liam Neeson can't just hop over a fucking fence anymore.
I mean, I'm not laughing. I don't want anyone to think I'm laughing at Liam. I'm laughing at the audacity of man. Can you imagine being a director? My dad is 70 years old, all right? And he's an anomaly.
Like,
yeah, I mean, he's 75. But he's like an anomaly when it comes to when he was 50 years old. The man was like, he could like climb on the roof of the house and do crazy shit because his brain was wired differently. But now that he is in his 70s, I can see a lot of the things that he was acting like didn't happen. He's just like, no, fuck that. I'm done. I'm not doing that. Yeah. Like if he's tired, he's like, no, I'm done with this. I'm going to sit down. You cannot tell a person who is 50 years old what to do. Yeah. And if you are a 50-year-old famous person and they tell you to hop over a fence, he probably laughed directly at them and was like,
no, I'm not gonna even try that. Reason there had to be so many camera cuts is because like they had to work around the two step ladders on either side of the fence.
The literal steps that he built that they had built for him to just, because that's the only sensible thing that he could do. He's not going to hurt himself for Taken 3. Yeah. Taken 3 can go fuck itself. He already got it. He's not going to do it. And I don't blame him one bit. The director of that should have known in advance that jumping a fence is a stupid shot and just cut that shit right away. We're going to have him jump a fence. Who's our lead again? Is it a young 20-something man? No, it's 50-year-old Liam Neeson. Cut the fence scene. How about that? We're just going to cut that one. It's going to be him. He runs into an alleyway now, and he's going to turn and run left. That's what we're right. He's going to do whatever he's got to do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's...
yeah, dude. So I don't ever want to see Batman like that. So, which is like...
No.
Which is... Well, I don't think... We don't have to worry about that anymore. It's Robert Pattinson, like I said. He's young, and he's physically capable, as we can see from this trailer. And also, there's stuntmen that they can do and whatnot. It's just like... I don't know. We're talking about, like... whether Two-Face could be in it is what we were saying, and I don't think it's far enough.
Oh, I don't mind anything. I just mean like I wonder if there's a hidden guy that we don't know about, and I desperately hope that it's not Joker.
Yeah, I know. I also hope it's not Joker just yet. I need to form my opinion about how I feel about this because so let's go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. If this Batman movie with Robert Pattinson does fucking great, like the film. People on YouTube, you can disagree with this if you want. You're wrong, but you can disagree with this if you want. And like the fact that Spider-Man isn't like even though Sony owned the rights to Spider-Man, the fact that he made his way into the MCU tells me that's proof that you are wrong if you disagree with this. If the Robert Pattinson Batman movie is a major success, Ben Affleck is done, and the clamor is going to be for Robert Pattinson to replace him in the DCEU. I'm sorry, people out there who still enjoy a self-contained superhero movie, but the Avengers put a definitive nail in that coffin. That shit is done, and the demand these days is for collected universes where we get to see all these characters interact with each other. And whether Warner Brothers or...
At least give me a Batman universe. If you guys don't want to add into the existing Justice League, which the thing about the Justice League versus the Avengers to me is that it's a lot more to do than the Marvel Avengers is. Marvel has made their universe small, but the cosmic scale of it is still grand. Yeah. But it was like they had almost separated it into like quadrants, where it was like the magical aspect, and then there's Earth, and then there's the cosmic era, which is the area which is like the Guardians and the Eternals now.
Just talking about the Avengers team and assembling that in comparison to assembling a Justice League team, the Avengers you had for their cast that the roster they chose, you had Cap, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk. Those are arguably like there were 6 characters overall. Those are arguably your big ones, right? Like they're.
Oh my God, Thor and Hulk. Okay, first of all, Thor of them all. Every single movie, if they went off the comic books, would be ended. Thor wouldn't need any of them. Like if he went up and fought half of the roster, Ultron.
I'm talking popularity wise. Like you know what I mean? What I'm getting at here is with DC and the Justice League, you've got like Batman. You cannot introduce Batman as a side character in some other character's movie. You cannot introduce
No.
Superman as a side character in some other character's movie. You cannot introduce. You might be able to get away with it in Wonder Woman. Like people liked her introduction in Batman v Superman. They hated the movie overall, but they liked Wonder Woman's part in it and her introduction. Aquaman probably could have gotten away with introducing
I would
him.
say Aquaman and Wonder Woman are the two best team players. Flash being probably the worst team player of them all. Batman, the number one, but he's not a team player in any capacity. He's a leader exclusively. But so is Superman. Those two cause a problem right there. You can immediately accept Iron Man as the leader of the Avengers. Who else? Yeah. So you just like, all right, and then it's done. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just a simpler. I'm not advocating for one over the other, by the way. I'm just saying the reason it was successful for Marvel is because of the simplicity of the bringing them together. It was just, here they are. This happened, and then they got together. But for you to do that with Justice League,
you need to make
characters are a lot more complex. Yeah,
that's what
there's a lot more complexity to Batman than there's to Iron Man, and there's a ton more complexity to Superman than the Hulk.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, for Justice League, it's almost like maybe not Thor. You could maybe get away with skirting with, like, how do I put this? I'm trying to just get this out. Like, each main Justice League character is almost deserving in and of themselves of their own standalone intro movie. You could maybe get away with, like, kind of like, you could introduce Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Like, your big three would be Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And then your other Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. There maybe you could have, like, but how?
You could totally do away with a Flash movie, unless it's a continuation in the universe.
Not this new one coming out, but like, yeah.
No. I don't mean a Flash movie in general. I mean, if we're talking about doing a standalone intro movie, the Flash is like probably the most boring one. It's cool in stretched out episodes where you watch it unfold, but if you're trying to condense it into a little bit of a movie, an hour and 90 minute movie, probably, it would just be boring. Yeah. I mean, he would have no one to fight right away. It would be a lot of him absolutely shattering the fuck out of things because he doesn't understand his speed relative to what he's hitting. He would burn through his shoes a lot. It would be a lot of things you have already seen.
Flash
defeated.
Yeah. Since like the
further on though, go further into story.
Since like the 50s, from the 50s all the way up until very recently, like a couple of years ago, we did not have a good, like, a solid Barry Allen Flash origin story comic. It's called Flash Year One. It just came out a few years ago because they were like, yo, we don't have a solid Flash origin story. Like, we did one in the 50s when we first invented the fucking character, and since then we've never done an origin story for Barry Allen. So they redid one. It's called Flash Year One. And my thing is, though, it's like, DC's harder to do because it almost feels like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, they all need four of them. They all need their own movie. I don't know. Marvel also had four. They did 2 Iron Mans, a Captain America, a Thor, and a Hulk before they did Avengers. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
They didn't rush the Avengers thing too, because in my opinion,
that's true.
I'm probably wrong, but this is just how it felt. They weren't so much worried about and the camera has shifted.
You're good. It looks fine.
So I don't think they really planned each movie per se. I think they started with the idea of the Avengers. That was where their starting point was.
At the end of Iron Man 1, Fury shows up and says, like, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers.
So that's all the after credit scenes have made me think that.
But,
so the idea was this was started to be an Avengers franchise, and we're gonna start with the Avengers tree, and we're gonna create branches for each guy. And the ones that don't quite stick, we'll just throw them somewhere else and bring them back later.
Like Hawkeye and Black Widow got introduced in other movies.
Yeah, exactly. Black Widow was Iron Man 2. And then
Hawkeye
was Avengers. Oh, Thor, okay.
Yeah.
Who was he? Oh, yeah, that's right. He was, okay, I remember. He was at the dig site.
Yep. What was I going to say?
So
to get back,
you can see what they were doing though.
Yeah, DC was doing the same deal. They had a plan from the beginning with them as well. Their plan was they were just so hell bent on doing it differently and being like, "Yo, I think we could do a Superman movie and then right after that we could do a pseudo Justice League movie. And it's like, no, you fucking can't. Like, no, you fucking can't.
They made some critical mistakes.
Yeah.
Their movies they made were flashy and cool, but they weren't all that interesting.
In recent
when you
years,
have
though,
arguably the most interesting universe to work with.
Yeah.
At least, and it's also a little bit darker, which opens you up to the rated R options for some of your guys.
In certain area, like certain characters, it doesn't gel with. Like Superman, I don't need a rated R Superman. Yeah. You know
there already is one. It's called Brightburn. If you want to see it, go ahead. It was bad. But the Superman, like a Superman movie, he is the Wonder Boy. Like he's the soft-hearted, iron-fisted.
A lot of people don't like Max Landis, but I like Max Landis. He's a Hollywood writer director, kind of underrated at this point. I like him simply for his take on DC and specifically Superman. He's like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate a good disaster movie. He's like, I'll go see a movie like The Day After Tomorrow to see a city get destroyed. That's why I'm going to see that movie. He's like, do you know where I should not be seeing a city get destroyed? In the fucking Superman movie. Like, yeah, so
can we talk about that and how
we got to get back to other shit, but yeah, real quick.
Well, just real quick, I've got
go
it.
ahead.
In here now. I'm thinking one specific scene is the Zod scene where he's flying him through buildings, like just, and then in the comic, in the animated series, when Superman would fight in the city and people were strong enough to bust buildings up, he would throw them into the sky so that they had to fight him above the city. And I was like, this Superman isn't all that bright, and that really bums me out because he should be. He's a smart ass guy. His whole plot line is like he's a borderline genius, but he's just like a nice guy, and he worked on a farm, and he's a farm boy. But in the fucking animated show, he would like grab robots and like blast them into the sky, so that when he flew up to punch them, they didn't go through some guy's apartment complex. They went into the ocean or into the bay or whatever.
Yeah.
You could tell that they were sloppily assembling stories to just meet I don't even know, an invisible timeline that they had set up.
That and
not that Superman was that bad or anything.
Man of Steel, I still hold Man of Steel in pretty high regard. I just agree that
I like the movie.
The end fight was poorly executed, but
yeah.
I don't even hate
the Terraformer plot wasn't really all that good. I think
it was fine. It made sense for what the Kryptonians were there to do. I mean, my thing was just like,
it though? Like, here, let me poke a hole in it for you. They just got here.
Yeah.
They just realized that as soon as they adapt, which doesn't take that long, they're literally immortal, and they're like, let's turn it back into that shithole we came back from. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's turn into that shithole where we're not that strong. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense to me. They immediately would have been like, oh my God, we rule this place now, guys. This is ours. Apparently that yellow thing makes us into gods. Like,
yeah, you're right. All right, you're right. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Okay, so, but in recent years, DC has slowly been starting to like build people's confidence and trust them in a little bit. Like Aquaman was arguably a success. It was entertaining to watch. It was campy and kind of corny in some moments, but it was fine. Shazam, same deal. Like, it was watchable. It came out the exact same summer as Endgame, though, so it got vastly overshadowed. But it's like whatever.
People still liked it though, and it had good reviews.
It was a good. It was a solid Shazam movie, a solid Shazam origin movie. What else did we get? The Suicide Squad from James Gunn was really good.
So good.
So
truly, if you haven't seen that, you're holding out.
Yeah.
Watch that one before anything else.
And then
it's
also
just a good time.
Not sure if it's really relevant to the overall DC film franchise anymore, but the Snyder Cut was a vast improvement over the original.
Another one you should watch. If you haven't watched it, you're both now.
They've been slowly building people's trust back up, which in the DCEU, which makes me go, fuck. Just to touch on the Batman thing again, I'm like, fuck, like, a DC film franchise is not going to be complete without a Batman. And if Robert Pattinson fucking kills it, and I love this Batman, I love this universe that they're crafting, I'm going to want this to be the Batman that's in the big thing. Like, I'm not going to want this Batman that I love to just be limited to his own little corner. I'm going to want to see him everywhere because it's the one that I love the most. Like, you know what I mean? It's like...
All right, hear me out. What if, instead of them going right into putting him in Justice League, they just left him as Batman in Gotham, and we just did Gotham for a while.
Well,
there's just so like think about the concept of the Batman games
yeah.
and the idea of like, okay, this is Arkham Asylum. He's trapped in here with Joker, who has traps everywhere, and it doesn't have to be that exact thing. If I don't want that actually, but just some like ideas like that, like
I know what you mean.
getting poisoned.
I'm gonna say this.
Alfred's captured.
Let's save the what ifs for when we talk about the Flash movie, because it's going to directly connect with the Flash movie. So real quick, let's go ahead and just all right, so that's Batman for now. We're excited for the Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
For those, if you haven't been able to tell. So next up, let's just real quick, Black Adam thoughts.
So fucking cool, dude. I'm so psyched to watch The Rock play The Rock as the Shazam guy. It's gonna be so good, dude. I know nothing about any of this, and it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be every character you've ever seen Dwayne The Rock Johnson play with lightning powers, and you're gonna love it. Because
I don't
remember
think
when
so,
he gets
man.
mad?
Yeah,
he's like,
but I think this is gonna
be like that.
We've never seen. Have we ever seen The Rock play a character that is really like the villain, like a bad guy? Like Black Adam. He's the protagonist of this movie. He's not a good guy in the grand scheme of DC. He is.
I got one.
A bad guy. What's up?
I got one for The Rock. I don't know if you've seen this movie. It's actually one of my favorite movies. If there's a guilty pleasure movie, this is the number one. Doom, the movie.
Oh God.
That movie is so bad, and I fucking love the first-person shooter scene. Every single time I watch it, I'm like, this is so terrible. Anyway, The Rock plays a villain in that.
Oh,
and
really?
he hulks out and like turns half demon or something. It doesn't look that good. His knuckles split his gloves at one point, and you're just supposed to be like, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, sorry. But yeah, he's a villain. He was pretty good.
This is him in Black Adam. This is him playing a character who grew up and has spent his entire life enslaved, but then gets the power of the gods. So basically, he's basically playing like what you said, the Kryptonians. Like, it's like, oh, I'm a god now.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, man.
I mean, he did just like pick a dude up and fry him. So that talks about his personality.
He's not a good dude. My question is like, so visually from that little scene we got at DC Fandome, it looks impressive visually, just from that little bit, as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
The Rock looks dead on, like there was no one, like aesthetically there's no one better to play Black Adam, and he seems to be genuinely excited to play Black Adam and happy to play. You? My thing is, I want to ask you, do you buy it, or do you think this is publicity bullshit? Like,
I think it's both those things. I don't think it's bullshit, but I think it's publicity. But I also think that it comes from him saying these things, because they don't just like come up with these ideas. They're not just like, you sell that you are a fan of this. It's hard to sell that you're a fan of something to fans. We know when you're lying.
Yeah,
it's obvious.
I guess.
So if you're gonna lean into we're publicizing he's a fan of this thing, it's better if they actually are. He was a dork too at one point. Everyone is, and he liked his thing. Black Adam's a pretty old concept, so I'll buy it until I have a reason not to.
Yeah.
But I understand the skepticism.
Especially these days. Like, I'm not trying to change the topic or anything, but like with the whole Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe thing that happened recently.
Yeah.
Like, I look at a lot, and you almost see like Henry Cavill might be the only one that I actually believe when he talks about his inner nerdiness, because it's just like,
because he's obviously a nerd. You know, it's obviously
it. With all of these fucking actors that play these roles, and they get on these television talk shows, and they know they're on camera, and they talk about like what the character means to them and how honored they are to play them. I'm like, do you really feel that way, or like really like, I don't know. I just
sometimes I feel
John Bernthal,
like
when he played the Punisher, he was on a talk show one night, and he said something about the guy asked him, did you do any like comic book research for this role? He's like, yeah, I went into a comic book store, and the guy behind the counter, I went up to the counter to ask the guy about the Punisher, and the guy behind the counter went, yeah, I know who you are. You're not getting. He picked out some Punisher comics, and he went up to the counter to buy them, and he's like, Punisher stuff, huh? He's like, yeah, he opened his mouth to say like, I'm playing the Punisher, and the guy behind the counter went, I know who you are. You're not getting these. You're getting this one and this one and this one, and then. And then he said, if you fuck,
Yes.
and then the guy behind the counter said, if you fuck this up, I will end you. And then John Bernthal was like, on the talk show, he was just like, and I understand that like this character resonates very powerfully with like people of military and law enforcement backgrounds. So he's like, I'm going to really try to do it just. And he did.
I don't know why it does. Let me just say a couple things. Police officers are not supposed to go shoot people to death or think about it. They're not supposed to think about it. They're not supposed to want to do it.
I'm just going to say this, like, that's... If you spend enough time around the scum of humanity, sooner or later, some thoughts are going to enter your head. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you go talk to a therapist. You go tell them, my job is a police officer and I can't have these thoughts, so you tell me how not to have them.
You can have any thoughts at any time. You can't have actions.
Sure.
Like
that's what I'm saying.
Thoughts don't always lead to actions, though. So it's like,
I have opinions on the Punisher similar to my opinions on the Joker. Anybody that tells me their favorite character is the Punisher or their favorite character is the Joker, I'm like, you have missed the fucking point. No, they're not your favorite character. They're psychopaths who have lost everything and have imploded in on themselves and become black holes of pain and suffering. That's all that they offer.
So,
like, literally, that's all that they offer.
Comic book Punisher, I will agree with you. The way that the Netflix show did him gave him a lot more redeeming qualities than...
I'll give you that. Yeah. They did a lot better. Do you remember the one with Thomas Jane?
Yeah.
That one did a better job of sticking to the comic book aspects of him. He was a soulless husk. And when that girl was trying to get with him and he was just like, no, I'm not. And then in the end, he just goes and fucking kills everybody. And that's it. And that's how the movie ends. He goes, he kills everyone.
And then he goes off to kill more people.
And then he fucks off to kill more people. That's exactly who the Punisher is to a T. Any sort of emotion that would help or address his issues, he's like, nope.
Yep.
I have whiskey, I have shotgun, I kill.
Yep.
That's his entire personality.
That's his whole shtick, yeah.
And the Joker is the same, but he throws jokes in there sometimes. And they're not very good.
And this relates to, we were talking about how, like, do we believe The Rock? And it led to, all right. Get this back around.
Now that we're talking about it, I do want to say pro wrestlers turned celebrities have a tendency to just sort of do what they got to do. I saw this happen. I lost a ton of respect for John Cena, it's hard to hate on John Cena, who does devote quite a bit of his time to going to children's hospitals. And like, that's got to be addressed before anything else. There's a redeeming quality here. But he also did apologize to China, which I just don't understand. Like, do you remember back in the day? I'm not talking about like the good old days. I don't like that term. But there was a time when Americans talking about China or Russia or whatever wouldn't have been like, and I'm really sorry I said something mean about you. I didn't mean it. We would have been like, oh, what'd you hear about what I say? Oh, I said, fuck your mother. Okay. Well, fuck you and your sister and go fuck yourself. And then you'd be like, and what are you going to do about it? Like, what the hell happened? They don't have any power over you. You're not Chinese, unless you are Chinese, and then you should apologize. But like, you're not. So
it's the world
dictatorship and apology.
This is a separate video, but it's like when you're.
I'm just talking about dishonesty. We don't have to go into the whole thing, but
when you're that famous, you're no longer, in a way, you're no longer American or French or whatever the fuck else you are. You are on the world stage, and you're told by all of your agents and PR people and Hollywood executives that like you have to be marketable to everyone. You can't piss anyone off. And in this age of cancellation, like you have to be just like 100% lovable all the time. And that's what lends to my skepticism when like these actors come out and they're like, oh, this role means so much to me. I'm playing Howard the Duck in the next Marvel movie. It's like,
honestly, dude, if someone plays Howard the Duck and they fuck it up, that guy's gonna get fucking taken out. Like, this is not a threat. This is like a scary situation. You don't want to be that guy.
Dude, it's just
a joke.
I just don't, sometimes I'm skeptical. I hope it's good. And the fact that they're giving Black Adam his own movie before they bring him and Shazam together for the inevitable clash that we know is going to happen.
Sure.
It's like
we're getting one more Shazam movie too, which I think
let's go ahead and talk about that too. So Shazam 1, what did it leave you wanting that you like? What about the Shazam sequel? What do you need to see in the Shazam sequel because the first movie left you wanting it? Like,
I know exactly it.
What is
because
it?
I think they actually did a great job. It was just that he didn't know how to use his powers. He had a rudimentary understanding at the end of how to do it.
Right.
I hate to
A
say I
more
want an origin
experienced
story because I
Shazam.
don't. Yeah, I just want him to get some skills real quick. You know, I want him to either like go into a Shazam dimension where a wizard teaches him more wizard spells or something,
What if the
he just figures it out.
What if the movie starts out and like off camera between the two movies he's figured more out? Is that also
I'm cool with
acceptable?
that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, just that he has a little bit better grasp on his powers. He doesn't have to be a master.
Right.
Maybe just more like I remember seeing him in some other things as an animated character, and he could just Shazam himself, you know, on command, Shazam in and out of it.
Yeah.
And it didn't always destroy things around him. Number one, most of the time it didn't. It just would call the lightning bolt and then he turned into Shazam. Right. And then other times he could call it down as an attack and like blow up and take out enemies. And I want to see him get a better grasp on it.
Right.
On or off camera.
What do you think? So at the end of the first one, they revealed how he can transfer the power to his foster kid's family. We're gonna get more of them obviously in the sequel. We're gonna see the whole Marvel family, because he is Captain Marvel, but he's Shazam.
Yeah.
We're gonna see the whole Shazam family or whatever. I don't wait. What impression did you get from the first one? Was it that like he gave them all an identical set of powers to his, or was it that like he gave each one of them a different aspect of himself? Like one of them had, you thought one of them had strength, one of them had speed. Okay, I don't know.
You know what I thought about? This actually might help some people. This is what I thought. I thought, it's like the Power Rangers. You know, it's like each one has a specialty, but like the white Power Ranger or the green Power Ranger had a good all. He was the guy who could like fight the boss and take on everybody at once, and he had the best Zord and whatever.
Right.
So it's also like a beam of light. He's the white light, and then they were all like he shot it through a prism himself and gave them all a color.
In terms of the overall, in terms of the overall Shazam family, how much of what they can do you want to be dependent on him, or do you want them to be?
I would say entirely.
You don't want them to be independent of him at all. Like, do you want them to be able to transform on their own?
It depends. I think
I don't know that much about I know more lore about Shazam himself, like Billy Batson, than I do about the whole family and spreading the powers. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like in order to keep him as the main character, they need to be dependent on him for the power.
I think they should be dependent on him. To what degree is an interesting question. I don't know if do they have to be in proximity to him, or it's magic, so theoretically no.
Who knows?
I would say that no, they don't. I would say that they don't have to. It would just be like still his choice to give it up or not.
Right.
So it would put him in an interesting position at some point. Like maybe he only has enough power to save two of them, and there's three of them that are going to die, and like they all call for it, but he can only give it to two. So how does he choose? That's a pretty grim choice. I don't know that they necessarily need that, but it does add some interesting plot elements.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm trying to look up who these the villains are, because I know who's playing them, but I don't know what they are. So, see what you think of these villains once I have them. Okay, so Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren are the villains.
Ooh. Okay.
They are antagonistic goddesses. And Helen Mirren is playing Hespera, a daughter of Atlas, and Lucy Liu is playing Calypso, another daughter of Atlas.
Yeah.
And they are the villains.
I know both those. Okay. That's sick, dude.
It's called Shazam Fury of the Gods. That's the title, Fury of the Gods.
Right there, Helen Mirren is going to slay it. Helen Mirren is amazing. Anything she does is golden. So the fact that they threw her in there, you're just asking for one good character. Guaranteed, Helen Mirren. Yeah. Lucy Liu, we're going to talk about Lucy Liu because I think if you guys can't think of an awesome, badass role she did, think about Kill Bill and the Crazy 88 and her fighting, technically called the Bride, but later known as Beatrix. But the Bride fights the Bride in the cemetery, or no, it was the Lotus Garden, I think. Yeah. And gets her head cut off. Okay, so absolutely badass scene. Lucy Liu can pull her weight, but Helen Mirren is a guaranteed heavy hitter. Yeah. So that's two. I would say they're guaranteed to make the movie at least interesting because of who they are.
Now,
you can't go wrong with them.
How much to what extent are we expecting? Because, like I said, it's been a few years now, since the Aquaman movie came out. Few years that DC has been slowly building people's trust back up in it. Are we at the point yet, or not? Yes or no? Are we at the point where they can comfortably start connecting these movies, like showing some cameos in Shazam and like stuff like that? Or does this Shazam movie, do you think it still needs to be just a Shazam movie?
I think they'll fuck it up if they do cameos.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, here's the thing. They haven't shown very much grace with how they handle their franchise. And I think they're trying to do that now, bringing in a new Batman movie to draw viewers back to the DC film universe, cinematic universe. And then the success of, I don't know about success, but how, in my opinion, how good the Snyder Cut was shows that they genuinely could have made a good movie. So it gives me hope. Then we've got the Flash movie coming up. We've got a we're talking about two of them, but I'm trying to think of the other ones outside of these two.
There's a new Aquaman sequel coming.
Aquaman, that's it. So it does look like they're trying to.
They're doing a Peacemaker show from the.
I hate that.
I'm gonna watch it.
We'll talk about that. Oh, I'm gonna watch it. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna watch it. It was from the hell yeah, I'm gonna watch that shit. I'm just mad. Yeah. Anyway, but it's gonna be great. I'm just gonna be mad that it's great. So, they've got this thing going where they're actually trying to build up characters. It looks like.
Yeah.
So we're probably not gonna see a ton of cameos in this expelling of films. This is probably gonna be a lot of creating a new universe to work within, and especially Flash. So whatever happens in Flash really is the only important thing happening in DC because that decides how things go.
Yeah.
So anyway, but what we might get though are hints at movies that are connected to each other. So maybe since Aquaman has already done,
let me see
the Justice League thing.
What comes out first?
They might include him.
Shazam: Fury of the Gods or Black Adam? I'm pretty sure it's Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
I just had a list up that had them all in order, so let me go my history real quick. Upcoming movie releases. Black Adam comes out before.
Black Adam
out July 29th.
And Shazam comes out.
Shazam is June 2nd.
Okay,
Wait,
so
2023. So yeah. So it's Black Adam way before.
So
we actually genuinely might see
a Black Adam reference. Or
we might see a Shazam reference in
Black Adam, and then we may get a Black Adam reference in Shazam. They
got
to start advertising
a Black Adam reference
in Shazam.
I'm about to. I wouldn't have before I saw the dates, but I'm going to guarantee a Black Adam reference. Of course there is.
In Fury of the Gods.
There's a full year, less than a year apart.
Yeah.
Of each other. That's definitely going to include a Black Adam reference.
That makes sense.
He might even be in it in a way as like an actual scene.
Maybe the end
I didn't know that they were making Batgirl and Blue Beetle.
So the only things
Green Lantern Corps. Oh no.
So hold on, let's relax. The only things we have for Blue Beetle and Batgirl is they released Batgirl. We actually have nothing. All they did was they released a statement saying that her costume is going to be heavily inspired by her Batgirl of Burnside look. So for those of you who don't know what that is, if you just Google Batgirl of Burnside, I'll just fucking do it real quick, son of a bitch.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, but I'm recording whatever's on my screen so people could actually see it.
Oh, I know this suit. I have seen this suit before. Yes. It's okay. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a little
cheap.
It's cartoony, it's colorful.
No, dude, look, it's straight up cheap though. Like Batman, This is where my gripes come in, man. I don't normally have gripes like this. This is a gripe. Batman is fucking meticulous, so stupid controlling that it actually drives the people around him crazy. Everyone but Alfred, literally everyone but Alfred, loses their mind around Bruce.
Right.
So it's because he has to know every variable, everything that will happen, and be in control of that in some way. If he allows her to help him, there's no fucking way she's walking out in Timberlands. He's gonna grab her by the shoulder pull her back into the room,
Also,
turn her around to the Batsuit generator, and stick her in it, and be like, "This is a poly nano weave titanium fiber suit. This is what you're wearing, you stupid idiot. Go out now,
dude.
Go
Also,
fight."
it's like, it's not even the design of the parts of the suit. It's purple and yellow. Purple and yellow.
No, she's got that. She's walking that Luigi look, that Waluigi look.
Oh
this
God.
This is Waluigi, man. This is this is bad. This is just bad.
So
why would he laugh?
Google. Let's do something different. Google 3 Jokers, Batgirl. Just do 3 Jokers, Batgirl. I have caps lock on for some reason. I don't know why.
It should still work. Google
and just find some 3 Jokers, Batgirl. You'll get some pictures.
The black and yellow?
Yes.
Yes, I like this.
Much better. So here's my one gripe with it. The interior of the cape, that's too much yellow.
Oh, it is yellow. You know what, though? I actually don't mind that. I think it looks good.
I'm thinking
it gives it that pop of color.
From a stealth aspect, though, but it is infinitely better than the Burnside one.
Yeah.
So
here's my opinion on the cape. This is what I think it's for. She is a smaller target than Batman. So by spreading her cape out and being bright yellow, people are going to shoot through her cape.
Could be. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just aim for her cape.
I think the cowl looks much more identity concealing and protective. Overall, yeah, the 3 Jokers Batsuit is probably my number one suit for
Here's one thing I would like. We don't have to have the skin text body suits anymore. They don't need to be conform to every muscle on our bodies, as I highly doubt that provides.
I don't think that they. I haven't for a long time now. That's not how I've thought of them. I've always thought of them as how ancient Romans would sculpt their leather armor, even in the shape.
Oh, like a breastplate.
I've always seen it as because if Batman is over here trying to create this urban legend that he's not a dude in a bat costume, he's actually this half man, half bat creature, it would help if they looked at it and saw muscles and shit, but at the same time they're shooting him and it's not hurting his muscles and shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just the fact that it's very muscle defining, the suits, that's never really bothered me. But
there's actually speaking of blocking bullets, I saw a funny college humor video from a decade ago at this point. That was I'm not going to go through the whole video, but at the end of it, the Riddler just shoots Batman, and he's just and then he just walks over and grabs the gun and punches him and knocks him out. Yep. That's how I always imagine Batman to a degree. He's standing behind him in the Arkham games. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go behind 2 people talking and they're looking for you and you're Batman and you're just standing there, they'll be like, "Where'd he go? Oh God, is he right behind me?" And then you can just be right behind him and scream the shit out of him. It's amazing. But yeah, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just thinking about that.
The bat suit, the Burnside is it's whatever.
Yeah. So this Batgirl is a lot better. I could do without the hair coming out. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
No.
People can just pull your hair.
Yeah.
I think she would either cut it short or tuck it up under her.
Yeah.
Owl.
And then for Blue Beetle, just to get it out of the way because it's very quickly, if you just Google,
is there a suit?
It's concept art. So if you just Google Blue Beetle film concept art, it's the very first thing that pops up. So that's
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what I would imagine.
Yeah, it's pretty typical of how this version of Blue Beetle looks. You know what I mean? I
like this actually. It's more chitin-y than the other. The other ones looked very do you remember the one from, was it the Batman animated series, the new Batman animated series that had Blue Beetle in it, or was that his own show, Blue Beetle?
It might. Oh, I think you're talking about Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, Batman Brave and the Bold. I think that had Blue Beetle in it for a couple episodes or something, or maybe the whole thing. I didn't watch it all.
Right.
But yeah, Blue Beetle.
This thing looks sick. I'll be honest.
It looked very mechanical. This looks a lot more like Beetle. It's cool.
Well, it's alien technology
that's alien,
bonded with him. Yeah. So
he's supposed to be like the Guyver from. You guys know what that is? Probably not. That's a niche. That's a deep cut. If you guys know what the Guyver is.
Anyway, okay. So what have we talked about? We talked about Shazam. The Aquaman sequel is about all we have left. What are we expecting from the Aquaman? All we saw was a behind-the-scenes clip. We've seen that Ocean Master, his half brother Orm is back. Black Manta's back. We've seen Mara is still there. Same actress. I know there was some Johnny Depp Mara shit going on that people were like, is she getting
Look,
fired? And I was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't
I
give a
don't care.
fuck about
I'm gonna
these
say
two
this right now.
people's like
This channel
lives.
is not. We're not fighting for the rights. I mean, we are fighting for people's rights in the general sense, but not for the rights of billionaires and millionaires. They're good. They got it.
Like
They're
I
gonna
just
be.
don't.
They're
I
gonna be
don't
all
care
right.
about these people's domestic. It's not my
I
fucking
don't.
business. It has nothing to do with
I
me.
genuinely don't care though. Like I really don't. Like,
The
oh,
only
they were mean to each other. They beat each other. Fine. Then I didn't handle it in court and stop putting it in the news and making it part of my life. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like the extent of my relationship with both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard is they entertain me in movies. So when they're like, "Yo,
Yeah.
did you hear that
It's
they were? Did you hear they
yeah.
were really mean to each other?" I'm like, "Oh shit, really? Well, can they still act?" And they're like, "Yeah, they can." I'm like, "All right, well then I don't give a fuck. Like I don't.
And they
It's
should
not my
settle it
business."
as a
Yeah.
like adult. You guys ever watch Parks and Recreation? This is the best quote to handle this situation. Uh, handle this problem like adults on your own.
Yeah.
In notes, handle this problem by yourselves like adults. That's
Yeah.
how I feel right now.
Yep. Pretty
Just
much.
handle it yourselves and don't involve me.
Yep. I don't know, man. So, but yeah, all the characters from the first movie are back. We don't know what the plot is. It's Aquaman. Fuck, what's it called? What's the name of it? That might give something away.
I just had all these up and I keep closing it. I should just leave it up. Okay, it's called
Lost Kingdom.
Yeah, you literally 1 second. Okay, yep, that's it. I think let's see if it has anything to say about it. Nope, doesn't.
Yeah.
It just someone put a little thing below it that has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. So.
Says that it's going to expand on the world building of the first Aquaman. So it's going to be some introduction, a hidden underwater kingdom other than Atlantis.
But we're getting more underwater stuff, is what it sounds
most likely,
like.
Yeah. So
cool. I'm cool with that.
My vibe of the Aquaman movie is it's pretty much like my opinion on it is the first one was this is Aquaman, so the film franchise is not in a good place right now anyway. So this movie can absolutely suck, and it doesn't matter because they can't go much lower, and it's Aquaman, so I'm expecting very little from it anyway. I'm expecting it to at least be as good as the first one. It's still fucking Aquaman, and I don't care how cool Jason Momoa makes Aquaman. He's still Aquaman. So like Aquaman's never gonna carry the DC universe. Let's put it that way.
I had to ask a serious question to you and to everyone, really. What do you guys think is going to top an undersea battle where Aquaman summons the underwater depths of the ocean, including one of its most ferocious and terrifying creatures, of which he then mounts like it's his personal death car and takes the fight to his whatever the fuck and just shits on them all in a sweep, and then gets into a sword spear fight with this guy and kicks the shit out of him, and the guy's riding like a shark. What are we gonna get? What's topping that is really
the epic space battle that's soon to come eventually. Like if we ever get Apocalypse's invasion, then that would top it probably. But
see, I'm not saying I don't want this movie, and I'm not saying it's going to be bad. What I am saying is expect it to be more of a movie built to connect to something than Aquaman 1, which was in a lot of ways contained. Yeah. It was just its own thing.
Oh yeah.
The plot had a beginning and a very definitive end.
Blatantly contradicted the Justice League when it was like,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, your dad's dead. Mara, your dad's dead, right? You told me he was dead. No, he's right over here. He's played by Dolph Lundgren.
Okay. Talking about Dolph Lundgren? This is like an episode of It's Always Sunny. I feel like when Aquaman was being written, Mac and Charlie are sitting there and they're like, yeah, and then the dad is Dolph Lundgren, and they're like. And he's like, yeah, because Dolph Lundgren, he's a really good actor. Like he's like gonna nail this part. And he's like, yes, it's got to be Dolph Lundgren. And he's gonna hang dong. And they're like, whoa, okay, we draw the line at that. That's not. We're not gonna do that. We're not doing that. Like Dolph Lundgren being in that movie is the greatest random occurrence in film in the longest time.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone better for that. That you're just like, that's Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, why is he?
Yeah.
That's great. So we've got him in the universe to look forward to. In this new movie, I hope he plays a key part.
And let's go ahead and just get into it.
Unless they adjust.
The Flash.
Oh, yeah. I wonder.
We
Which one
don't.
goes
Here's the thing,
first?
man. So yeah, let's. Flash, I think, is the next one to come out. So whatever. Like, when does the Flash come out? That we can figure some stuff
So
out
it's
based on that.
Batman, DC League of Super Pets. Okay.
That's an animated movie. It has nothing to do with. Yeah.
Okay, forget I said that one, everyone. It didn't happen.
It looks kind of funny,
Black Adam,
but yeah. Black Adam's the next one after
then
that.
the Flash.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's Batman, Black Adam, Flash.
Here's what we have to take into account then. Everything that has come out or will come out before the Flash movie is subject to being altered, because it's already been confirmed that in this Flash movie they are doing some variation of the Flashpoint storyline, and it is going to be used to do a soft, they're calling it a soft reboot of the DC film universe, and try to use this to correct the mistakes that have been made, the irregularities, the inconsistencies, the continuity. They're going to try and use this to correct shit. So everything that has come out prior to the Flash movie is subject to change. Let's talk about let's
no
talk
Dolph
about
Lundgren.
Maybe we don't know. Let's talk about what we know for sure. Then let's talk about what we hope gets differed. Yeah, what's up?
Just pause for a second. I think I had to take my dog out. She starts pacing in a circle.
No worries. All right, so yeah, let's first talk about the facts about the Flash movie that we know for sure. We'll discuss that stuff, and then we can talk about like the what if stuff that we hope gets changed or what we think will get changed and whatnot. So, What do we know? Well, we know Michael fucking Keaton's back. That's for damn sure. I don't know how I feel. Here's the thing. It's not that I'm unhappy to see Michael Keaton play Batman again. It's just that it feels like a cash grab. It feels like they.
No, I'll tell you. I would agree with you. I would normally agree with you on that. But a little bit of information, just like Yoda says, a little bit of information might light our way. When Michael Keaton was first announced as Batman, it was met with like absolute scorn.
He'd done nothing at that point except like comedy roles, like Beetlejuice and shit, and people were like, "Yeah,
sure," but they hadn't seen the movie yet, and then they saw it and they were like, "Oh, he was actually pretty good." And so now they're like, "All right, this will both boost the number of people who will come see the movie, so it benefits us, and it's also a little callback to the deep cut fans who are going to be like, oh, God. And then." It's Michael Keaton. At the very least, he's going to add his acting expertise and lift the scene up a little bit, even if he's not directly going to fight as Batman or whatever.
He might. He's going to put on the suit.
He might.
Like, we know that. So
I'm hoping he does. I really would love to see that. So here's the thing. It could be good. It's Batman Inc. Batman. So
what makes you say that?
Isn't that what he is? Isn't that what his Batsuit was called, the Batman Incorporated Batsuit, or is that the George Clooney version? I thought that was the
Batman Inc. is a comic book thing. It's not really associated with any film. Yeah.
That's okay. The reason I say that is because there's a suit in Arkham Knight
that looks a lot like Batman.
It's called Batman exactly Inc. Like the Michael Keaton one.
Except it's not all black.
Just like it. No, the one I'm thinking of is all black and has a yellow, big yellow bat symbol.
And it's called Batman Inc.
I think. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong.
Batman Inc. was like basically take Ben Affleck's suit and from Batman v Superman and take the big black bat off and put this yellow oval, and that's Batman Inc.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check this now, and I'll text you later and tell you.
But it's a comic.
Maybe I just have mixed titles up. But it was one of the suits there that looked like Michael Keaton.
I mean, shit. Google Batman Inc. Like right now, you'll see what it looks like. I mean, But so what we know is going to happen is Barry Allen is going to go back in time using the Speed Force.
Arkham City.
Yeah.
I was wrong. No, you're right. This is gray and yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
I'm not sure what suit I was thinking of.
I know that Michael Keaton's suit is one of the skins. Like you might have just.
I think it's Arkham Knight. I'm literally gonna open the game right now, but I think it's Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
That has his skin.
So
it has the Christian Bale skin too. So.
We know that Barry Allen is going to use his super speed to travel back in time. He's going to try and change the past, and in doing so, he's going to create this alternate reality where, from what we can tell, it's this other Batman, Michael Keaton, And then also, as we saw in the trailer and we've seen from other like leaks and stuff online, set photos, there is a Supergirl.
Yeah,
We've seen her,
which is interesting.
so
I wonder
yeah,
what
that
angle they're
begs the
going with that.
question. That begs the question: is this, what kind of Supergirl are we dealing with? Is this because we're on an alternate Earth? So is
Okay.
this, what's up?
Before we go on, I don't know if you can see my screen. We'll try our best.
That's ink, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that got me. It is actually gray.
But
I
the
don't know if you
glare
can tell
and
that.
shit, yeah.
But the weird angle, like the camera work they did,
Yeah.
to display the suit looks all black.
Yeah.
But I think there is an all black suit on here. I think no, there isn't in Arkham Knight an all black suit.
Yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Gotta be Arkham City. Anyway, this is gonna bug me. I saw it somewhere. I have all three of them right now, and I'm playing them all.
I have no doubt that it's in there somewhere as a skin, because
it's
Michael
It's
Keaton's
somewhere.
Batsuit is very iconic, and it looked like, it's not just, that's another thing. Like, let's go and say, like, it is confirmed that based on what we saw in the trailer, it's not just they're bringing Michael Keaton back to play a version of Batman. They are bringing Michael Keaton back to, for sure, confirmed, play his Batman. We saw the cowl. We didn't see him in this, but we saw the silhouette of the cowl with the ears. That's 100% his cowl from back in 1989. And we saw, there was a sheet over it, but we saw the Batmobile. And that's 100% the Michael Keaton Batmobile. So this isn't just Michael Keaton. That kind of lends credit to your point where, like, maybe it's not just a cash grab, because, you know, if it was a cash grab, that it would just be Michael Keaton playing a Batman, not his Batman. It's specific.
That they wouldn't go all into him, you know, because that takes more work.
Yeah.
And which would cost them more.
I wonder.
What do you think about the Jack Nicholson appearance?
No, please no. I wonder if they had to, like, build a new 1989 Batmobile, or if they still had that fucker in storage somewhere.
I bet they stored it. I bet they did.
To,
they still have.
It used to be at Six Flags. Do you remember?
From the 70s.
Do you remember it used to be?
Was that really it?
Yeah.
What? Because I always thought they were lying. Because it's Six Flags.
When they
I thought they were just lying.
They had the cape and cowl too for a while. At the Batman ride at Six Flags.
Oh my God.
Because the Batman
talk about
ride.
A flashback. Yeah. First of all, anybody who doesn't know about that ride, I'm so sorry.
It was from what we were young when the Batmobile was there, but like from what I remember, it was like or from what I've like read about or looked up, it was like a promotion deal. Like when the Batman ride was first like built and unveiled, they kind of took the Batmobile and it got to sit at different Six Flags, because they built more than one Batman ride at different parks.
Sure, yeah.
So each park.
Yeah, Six Flags is a huge franchise.
Yeah, so it got to they took like periods of time where, like, okay, for a while it's in this city, and then for another while it's to celebrate the opening of the Batman ride. But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
So it's clearly Michael Keaton with the Supergirl. What, like, it could be his and Lois Lane's daughter. It could be, but then again, we're on an alternate Earth here. It could be some alternate shit where, like, instead of having a boy, his Kryptonian Jor-El and Laura had a girl instead of Kal-El, and she could be just, instead of Superman, this alternate reality got Supergirl. Like, we don't know.
I'm sorry. I can't stop from smiling at Jor-El and Laura. I'm just sitting here. Jor-El and Susan over there had a kid, and you're like, how do you get his name? Oh, it's traditional Kryptonian.
I think it's LAR apostrophe A, Laura, but whatever.
Even then, I'm sure it's both. Either one of those are human names. Lara is a human name, and Laura is as well. Jor-El is not. So she was just like, I don't know how it happened.
Yo, due to, just a side note, currently in DC Comics, due to the meddling of Dr. Manhattan, Jor-El is alive and well in the DC universe, and he is out of his fucking mind.
Oh no! What they do to my boy Jor-El?
Dude, he's scarred. Like, half his face is scarred and burnt. And dude, he took Superman and Lois's son, Jonathan Kent, the half human one. He took him. He's like he's never gonna get fully prepared to be the next Superman, just sitting here on Earth. And he took him into the galaxy, and he exposed this kid to, like, intergalactic war and shit. Like,
bro, but that logic The logic of all the supervillains is my favorite thing to just like break down for a second. Just if you just were able to show them the hole in their logic, it would end all the plots right away. You'd be like, but, I know you think that, but just remember that your son, Superman, the guy you're saying his son won't be the next one of, never did any of that until he was full on Superman for a while. So you're just like, hey kid, let's go do some Vietnam era like mind scarring to you so you can come back and be like your dad who grew up on a farm.
Another good example. Another good example is like no one in all of like Infinity War when like the prime time would have been like when Gamora and Thanos are in his throne room and they're having their argument and he's like, the universe is finite, its resources are finite, and she's like, but you're after stones, but you're after stones that make you a god. So your solution is, rather than like the obvious solution of like, okay, let's just, make some more resources, just like that. Your solution is kill everyone, clearly. Like
I always like the idea that he says so brazenly, without a smile, like he's joking and he's gonna go LOL JK. He says the universe is finite. Well, sir, let's do a little dissection of how big the universe is and how small the puddle you're hopping around in is.
Yeah.
You went this far. Wow, that's crazy. And from that point to that point, it was shit. But from that point to that point is about the size of one of the molecules on a grain of rice in the grand scheme of the size of the universe. And Thanos is like, He walked up to the ocean with a cup, took a scoop, and said, I don't see any fucking whales in here. No more whales. There's not enough whales. I gotta make more whales. And he just makes a shitload of whales with no information on how whales wouldn't fit into a cup. And like, therefore, his testing sample was really small and wasn't a good breakdown of how big it all was.
Have you seen?
Like, he was just so stupid.
Have you watched What If?
No. Is that an actual show?
Yeah, it's on Disney. It's on Disney.
I didn't know what that was.
It's so here's what it is. Real quick side here. Hold on. Real quick here.
I thought it was comics.
All right. So now that we had that little quick break. All right. So other than Michael Keaton Batman and this like Supergirl that we have no idea about, we also saw there's another version of Barry Allen. We saw two Flashes.
Oh, did we see that?
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So I don't know what the deal is with that. Do you think a lot of people have heard saying that like they think one of them is Reverse Flash in disguise?
It's more interesting than I was going to say. It was Barry Allen going back to tell himself not to do it, which is the generic plot of what's it called again? I can't think of it.
Flashpoint.
Yeah, that's what the plot was before. Was he does it and then he has to go back and stop himself.
Yeah, so
from saving his mom.
And then we've also it's confirmed as well through just reports and then also photos that like reporters and paparazzi on set have managed to take. Michael Keaton's in this as his version of Batman. Ben Affleck is also in it as his version of Batman. Now,
I want to see them meet. Oh my God.
Who knows? Like, so think about it like this: they could meet. I guess they could meet, or it could be like Ben Affleck's in it at the beginning prior to Barry causing the Flashpoint, then he causes it.
I see.
We get Michael Keaton for most of it, and then at the end when he sets it right, then we go back to Ben Affleck. Could be that too. I don't like, but you said
I would honestly be cool with that. I would be cool with that.
You seemed excited, like you want to see them meet. Like I kind of do too, to be honest.
I do. I have a deep desire to see two Batmans talk about being Batman, as they can say things to each other that they literally can't say to anyone else. I would love to hear what they have to say, just in general.
We don't know what kind of state this Michael Keaton's Batman is in, because it's been like if it's his from like the 80s, that means he's old man Batman at this point. He could be grumpy. Like we all know, well, I'm not gonna say we all know, but like originally in the Flashpoint story, when Barry Allen goes to this alternate Flashpoint reality that he creates, he does meet a new version of Batman, and it is an older, grumpier Batman, but it's not Bruce. It's Thomas Wayne. It's Bruce's dad.
Right. Doesn't he kill people with guns and stuff?
100%.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
To me, though, if they were going to do Ben Affleck Batman meets the Flashpoint Batman, I would want to see it be his dad. And in this movie, we know it's not. We know it's not Thomas Wayne. It's alternate Bruce played by Michael Keaton. So, I don't know. I guess it could still be cool to see them still meet each other, but I think it would have been better.
It is interesting to think that two timelines could produce an entirely different looking Bruce from the same parents.
I mean, then again though, like there's certain things that like when you want to start playing around with the multiverse in live action film, there's certain concessions that are going to have to be made, such as like are we gonna expend money on CGI and special effects to show two versions of the same actor, or are we just gonna do different actors? And I feel like they're leaning more well, I don't know about Marvel, but DC is definitely leaning more into let's just use completely different actors because one, I think it's easier than doing all the special effects and CGI and editing, and then two, it also like we talked about, it gets that like what's that like that publicity and that almost like a money grab thing because it's like why
like a hype factor you could call it.
Yeah, it is because it's like what's going to bring you more hype, showing two Ben Afflecks or showing Ben Affleck and bringing back Michael Keaton? Bringing back Michael Keaton is going to give you more
honestly, dude, every time you say Michael Keaton, I get more and more excited about the Flash movie.
Yeah.
And I was already excited about it before I knew Michael Keaton was in it because I loved Ezra Miller's Flash.
Yeah.
It finally hit the note that I was kind of looking for with Spider-Man, and Tom Holland came along and filled that too.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job. It's that kind of like they're not kids, but they're not mature adults.
He's a guy with superpowers, and so far he's been using them to do good and do the right thing. But he's never. But he up until this point, like especially Barry Allen, he has not yet really taken on the idea of like being a superhero. It's more just like it more just like if the opportunity,
I'll help where I can.
If the opportunity presents itself, I'll use my power. I'll put on this costume I made to hide my identity,
right?
And I'll use my power to do some good. But he's not like Batman, where Batman's on a schedule. You know, Batman's like, okay, by 9 p.m. the minute the sun goes down, I'm gonna be in costume in the Batmobile, ready to roll.
Yep.
Like Flash isn't like that in this universe. He's more just like, I'll take it as it comes. But who knows? Other big question. I know my answer to this. My answer is yes, I'm hoping for this. Are you hoping we see Reverse Flash in this movie?
I mean, yeah. If the options are it's a Barry coming back to tell himself not to do it versus Eobard Thawne, I want to see that. First of all, Reverse Flash is the only villain that matters in the Flash universe. That and the Black Racer, I guess, but he's the only one that matters. So
Black Racer's not so much a specific Flash villain. You know what I mean? He's just
but he can only appear first from a Flash, like something that Flash did or Reverse Flash.
The Black Racer comes from the Black Racer originally comes from the Speed Force, but he's a New Gods character, like Apocalypse and New Genesis. So
wait, is he a god then? Technically,
he's the New Gods version
God
of like Death. He's Death.
Okay.
And that also kind of makes sense that he has something to do with time, because time and death have a correlation. And then on top of that, in a universe where time, and then in a universe where you have people that can time travel, you could almost prevent your death through time. Like the Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, has died many times. He's just also a time traveler, so he's no longer considered a human being. He's branched off to become more of like a space-time anomaly. You know what I mean? It's like if
he exists in multiple points already
at once.
Yeah.
So it's like
if one of them dies, the other 8 are still alive.
Could still pop up somewhere. And then also think about it like this. This is really weird, and it gets really hard to kind of like wrap your brain around. But if he dies in a time period, right? Since he is not bound by, let's call it fate. He's not bound by any string of fate. He can time travel around and fuck around all he wants. If he dies in a specific time period, another version of him that is simultaneously existing at a different point in time, if that one were to ever get knowledge about this other one's death, it will just avoid that time. So like Eobard Thawne, he can never just
learn where they've died.
and then prevent it from happening, because it's almost like he's become a space-time anomaly that has multiple versions. Like there's
I know, I get.
Yeah,
he's kind of like, he's a little bit like the Master.
Yeah,
in
sort of. Doctor Who. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, in Doctor Who. Yeah, he hits me like that. A little bit more sinister. The Master was more like the Joker if he was a time traveler, but Eobard, from what I understand, was just a mean sociopath. Was not a nice guy. Just real mean.
Him and Batman fought in the Batcave recently, and Batman put up a pretty good fight because the Flash was supposed to be showing up, to meet him to go over some shit. And Flash said like, I'll be there. He's like, I'm cleaning up some shit in Central City. I'll be there in 60 seconds. And then like a few seconds later, Bruce hears like the crackle of lightning, and he's like, you're early, Barry. And he turns around and it's Eobard Thawne, and they get into a fight. And Bruce holds his own. You know how? Eobard Thawne beats his ass because he can punch at the speed of light and shit. And Bruce is like down on the ground on one knee, and he's bleeding pretty bad. And he's like, and he gets up and like kind of hits Eobard with a sucker punch, and Eobard goes, what do you think you're doing? You know you can't win. And Bruce is like, yeah, but I don't need to win. And he takes a fighting stance. He's like, I just need 50 more seconds. And then
the most Batman shit ever.
and then knowing that Eobard Thawne cannot vibrate and use the Speed Force if he's held to the ground, he stabs a batarang through Eobard Thawne's foot into the ground of the Batcave, and then comes up and just starts laying into him with some fucking hooks and shit. And eventually,
see, this is the thing. Batman is unbeatable because he knows more than you about you. Everybody he fights, he's like, yeah, I already know you.
Well, he just knew from Barry what he was dealing with. Yeah, so like.
But it's a
he's
library.
He thought about doing that to Barry if he needed to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so.
I love that he has a contingency plan for every hero that he works with. He's like, yeah, Superman, I got a plan for him. He's like, what's your plan? Kill him. He's like, you don't kill people. He's like, I kill Superman. I got a plan for that.
Eobard Thawne like finally gets his shit together and does like a big, just claps his hands together super fast.
Gotcha.
Knocks Batman back against the wall. Then Eobard Thawne goes back to beating his ass, and it's showing you panel by panel in the comic, like counting down the seconds to when Barry's supposed to show up. But the fact that Bruce is just like, I don't need to win. I just need a few more seconds.
I just need 50 more seconds.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Bruce is so crazy. There's a scene in Asylum, Batman Arkham Asylum.
I've been noticing.
Where you walk into.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay, I'll go real quick. It's quick.
Go.
So he walks into the asylum. Sorry, Joker's going to go down the elevator. Killer Croc comes up, tells him he's going to eat him and smash his bones. And Batman just standing there like this. Unfazed.
Yeah. Dude, he's a lot like.
So anyway.
I've been noticing more like that I read of him in the comics. He reminds me a lot of Geralt in the Witcher Netflix show.
Yeah.
Like, people so often. Dick Grayson, Damian,
Catwoman.
They'll say something to Bruce. Will be like on the computer in the Batcave, or he'll be like on a gargoyle over Gotham City, and one of them will say something to Bruce, and he'll just go,
Yeah.
Or he'll just go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he'll just kind of like grunt, like.
Holy shit, he is Geralt. Geralt is Batman of the monster world. That's crazy. That's a great one. I never thought about. Oh man, dude, shit. Now I can't stop thinking about it.
If you read enough Batman comics, you start to realize that Bruce almost has like a strange form of like almost like Asperger's. Like he's not a socially adept human being. He knows how to fake it. He's witnessed enough to know how to fake it when he goes to like gala events. But like when he's not in an area where he has to fake it, like he's in the Batcave, like Dick Grayson and them are there, and they have like real human personalities. That's when you like. It's weird because you see him at these galas and these parties, and Bruce is talking it up with all these famous Gotham people. But then when he gets back in the Batcave and he doesn't feel any obligation to try and fake it, that's when you really see like he's not that good at having a conversation with people. Like the only person he's really comfortable doing with is Alfred. Like he avoids a direct eye contact with people. Most of the time when they say something to him, he just kind of goes, grunts.
Yeah.
And like
he's a messed up guy, like really, and him and the Joker. My favorite thing about the Joker is how the Joker genuinely believes that he's the Batman's sidekick. Just the greatest. But they're not that far apart. And Arkham Knight, for all its flaws, did a great job at the end displaying that he was really truly battling. The Joker was a representation. But it was of the desire to kill his enemies. If I just did it, and then he's like, then I could just kill them all, and then they would never be a problem again. And the Joker, by winning, would be showing him the destruction he would cause. I think it's interesting to see that he has no actual personality. The Batman that you see, him punching people and demanding information and almost running your head over, that is him.
No, he does have a personality. He just does not have the authentic and genuine social skills to
Right.
convey it to other. Like the only time he only knows how to do it through rage. Like read the Three Jokers story. It's not canon, but it is good. Like it really pushes the Jason Todd as Red Hood shoots a dude in the head, and Bruce has to go. Like Batgirl's like, we turn him in, right? And Bruce is like, like Bruce doesn't know what the fuck to do. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And at one point,
What do I
Jason's
do
like,
here?
they're back in the Batcave, and Jason's like, if we find another one of these fuckers, I'm gonna shoot him in the head too. And Bruce just grabs Jason by the throat and throws him into the wall, and he's just like, we're fucking done with this shit. Listen here, motherfucker. And like, he doesn't know how to, like, he feels bad because he's like, Jason feels like I abandoned him. I let him get killed by the Joker, and then I didn't try to bring him back. I didn't even know that he was brought back. I immediately replaced him. Bruce feels super guilty about this, the person that Jason's turned out to be. But Bruce is not the kind of guy that can look Jason out and like say like, I'm sorry, and have this real heart-to-heart conversation. Bruce doesn't have the emotional and psychological tools to have a conversation. Like,
No.
you ever seen a real moment where Bruce says something kind to Alfred? It's always like, hold on. It's always like Bruce like stands up at the computer in the Batcave. He turns to Alfred. He's always like, Alfred, I want you to know I'm really grateful for having you in my life, and I appreciate everything you do. And then he just walks away. Like he's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to do it. Like, you know what I mean?
You get snippets from him when he feels the nerve, but
and it's always
other than
very
that,
whenever he expresses a real thought or feeling, it's always very flat, monotone, and just straight to the point. Because he doesn't know any other way to do it. Yeah. So
it's interesting. I never thought about all this stuff, but yeah, that really is his personality.
Yeah.
He's a repressed man who never, instead of learning how to be an adult, he learned how to be a
Batman.
Yeah. Okay. So
what do we? Let's get into this.
Flashpoint.
What do we hope it changes? What do we think it will change?
Okay. I only hope it changes a couple things. I only hope that it changes the trajectory of the series to fit better together. Try to get away from doing another Justice League, and let's just do some co-op-y shit together for a while until you find the patterns.
We're gonna get there. Well, that's the whole point, is to get there eventually. But I agree.
Yeah.
The point is to let's not rush it. Let's make sure that like when we do it, it's the right time to do it.
It's like making a cake, right? There's two aspects to making a cake. It's mixing the wet and mixing the dry ingredients. You mix the dry ingredients together first. You mix the wet ingredients together on the side. You mix them together when they're both ready. We're working on. We tried to do a boxed cake on our first attempt, and it's a boxed cake. It's all right. It wasn't bad. Everyone liked it. It wasn't anything special.
Yeah, did we though?
Yeah, it was like a boxed cake, but one of those random flavors, like cranberry specialty cake. And you're like, why did you buy this? And who is this for? But all right, it's cake. I'll try it. Now we're like, no. I looked up the Martha Stewart chocolate cake recipe. We're gonna fucking make that shit. It's gonna be great. So we're making the dry ingredients right now. Got the movie set up. We can. I'm gonna go ahead and be like Snyder cut and all that stuff. I'm just including it because it was good and it worked.
So okay,
I think they're gonna pull from that.
That's something.
If they're smart, they will.
That's a question right there, because like I said, everything prior to Flash is subject to change. So like, it is one of the things that we hope gets changed. Is do we hope that the original version of Justice League gets and the Snyder cut gets put in?
Bro, wipe them both out. I would say that if of the two, if you have to choose, obviously Snyder cut, no question.
Yeah.
But just wipe them both out.
Yeah.
Just say that they happened as they are, and people should still see the Snyder cut because it's good. But then, just let that one be like this is an attempt, and now we're gonna do what we should have done with the Snyder cut in a shorter format, better this time.
So, if we wipe out Snyder cut and if we wipe out both Justice Leagues, are we also, and keep in mind this is all at the end of the Flash movie that these changes become implemented. So in a weird way, you would still need to watch these previous movies to understand how we got to Flashpoint in the first place.
That's why I'm saying wipe them out, because you can't. That's why I say you should still see the Snyder cut, and you should still do. There's still stuff you should see, and it gives it a reason to still exist and be seen, and it is worth seeing. So it's like, okay, we're implying that these things are still worth seeing. Right. And you should. And we would like to now build off of them into something else.
Right.
And these movies are giving them a great spread, really, of options to do well with.
Because
even if Black Adam doesn't do well, I mean, maybe Batman will just kill it. and then everything else will just be icing. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it goes.
Look, like for me looking at it, I'm thinking like, okay, if the Flash movie ends and we've stripped away both Justice Leagues, we've stripped away Batman v Superman. The fact though is like in the Flashpoint movie, we know Ben Affleck's in it, right? So that already makes, like I said, it's like even if the Flashpoint erases some shit that happened before, if you were bringing a new fan into these movies, you would still need to have them watch each individual one. You couldn't just show them Flashpoint and be like, start here. That wouldn't
Right.
work because they'd be
No.
like, yeah. So unless they do it that way, who honest to God knows? Like, I don't know to what extent Ben Affleck's role as Batman is in this Flash movie. Like, if Ben Affleck Batman plays a very, very minor role in this Flash movie, maybe you could just start with Flashpoint, but I don't see them wiping the board completely clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I wouldn't want them to get rid of the characters. This is why I would want the movies to still exist but be wiped from any errors in continuity. Since the Flashpoint is such a reset button, it allows you to just go, fuck it. We'll write a new plot,
right.
And the Flashpoint will allow it to fit.
Because
and the other stuff still happened, but it's on the other side of the Flashpoint.
Because all of those other movies, with the exception of Man of Steel, every other movie with the exception of Man of Steel is all linked together. Even in Aquaman, which seems like a very standalone movie, they still managed to. When Mera first shows up to try and convince him to help her find the trident, she says a line saying like about referencing how they fought Steppenwolf. So that line is the one and only reference that ties that movie to everything else, but it does it. It's now tied to everything else. So if they were going to get like if they get rid of Justice League, it's you have to look at it like a chain of events or like a pyramid, you know what I mean? If you pull something out from the bottom, everything else falls away too, you know what I mean? It's like
But see, think about it like this though. They haven't built anything on top of that base yet.
They have. That's
They're
what I'm
trying
saying.
to decide.
They built.
Well, let's say they've got this one layer.
Yeah.
The line, and then at the end is, I'm going to ignore the other Justice League just in general, and then the end is Snyder Cut. So everything, middle is Snyder Cut because then Aquaman's over here.
My point is though, is like if you remove the movie where they fight Steppenwolf, that line in Aquaman no longer makes sense. So now Aquaman's gone as well, and then Wonder Woman's gone. The Wonder Woman 1984 doesn't matter because that movie was a piece of shit. But like the first Wonder Woman in World War I,
actually never saw it.
It sucked. Don't watch it. The first Wonder Woman in World War I, that has to go because that both opens and ends with her emailing Bruce Wayne about the picture of her in.
That's true.
So it's like
that was a good one too.
It's like so.
See, this is my problem. This is my problem with the DC universe movies. They tried so hard at the beginning to be Marvel with the whole like Batman is Nick Fury going around assembling the Justice League, and I was just like, okay, this could be good. I thought. Initially I wasn't like, oh, you're stealing an idea. I was like, no, that's genius. You should do this. But as they did it, it started to occur to me that now they're cementing every movie they make into this universe.
They've linked them all together.
Yeah.
To where like if they try to take one out, then they all go. So it's like, yeah.
And so it was like, oh man, you guys. There's a reason that Marvel pussyfooted around it at first. They made Iron Man, and then they made Thor, and then they made Iron Man 2.
Then they made Iron Man 2. They did 2 Iron Mans before they even committed.
But they were just making Iron Man movies at that point. Yeah. And they were doing well. And they were like, all right, we'll stick our toes in the water and we'll make Thor 2 now, and we'll see how Thor 2 does. And it didn't do very well. And they were like, we'll make another Thor for a long time.
I can tell you exactly at the beginning. Let's think of it as this. Think of it like chains. All right.
Right.
What they did was they made a movie, right? Then they hooked some chains to the end of that movie, and they cast the other end of those chains out into the unknown future to in the future be attached to future projects. They didn't attach chains going backwards. You know what I mean? Like they didn't. So by doing that, you leave the opportunity open to tie this movie into one that is going to come later but you didn't tie your current movie to one that came before. Do you see what I'm saying?
They didn't plan a line to chain things to that would be sensible.
Chain forward, not backwards, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they were trying to retcon things to connect to other things so that thing could exist. I mean, do you remember Abomination? What's it called? Apocalypse or something?
In Hulk?
No, the one from Batman versus Superman.
Oh, Doomsday.
Doomsday. You remember that shit?
Yeah.
So like they put all their horses on one ship on a dinghy.
Hey, real quick, I don't know what's going on, but your audio is really weird.
It hurts. Oh, you know what? The headphone might be dying. Let me grab the other one. The lady is supposed to tell me when it's dying. Okay.
You're good.
She's supposed to tell me it's dying, but
no worries. But yeah, so
hold on. Okay, I can't. Let's just finish this up. It's fucking up. I can hear you through my phone, so it's whatever.
I mean, it's recording, okay? As long as you can hear me enough to understand me, we'll be all right. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. Okay, so we've talked about what we think will get changed or what do we want to be changed?
I mean, can we get rid of? It's so hard for me to put into words.
I know.
It's like there's this tone to the movies that is a little bit like tongue in cheek.
Bye. Yeah, really, fuck off.
Like, yeah, and it just doesn't exist in DC to me. DC is a grimmer. It's not like grimdark. It's not like that
it's not
intense.
40K, but
yeah, but it's a little bit grimmer than this. They're a little more serious, I think, on the DC side of things.
Yeah.
Like there are a couple of jokesters, but Batman does not tell jokes. Superman also doesn't, and if he does, they're bad because they're campy.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is like an ancient Greek goddess and does not tell jokes. Green Lantern Corps are the police of the universe. I mean, how many cops have you bumped into who are just like, hey, you want to hear a joke? None. Zero is the answer to that.
Yeah.
So like, it's just that there's a tone that exists that we like, then that doesn't necessarily make us like it, but is part of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's part of it. And I go there seeking DC universe, not Marvel presents Batman. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to see. Embrace the tone that they already have. Don't worry at all about what Marvel's done.
Yeah.
Make your own thing.
So something that I want to see changed is I want to see this is going to be very vague, but it's the best way I can put it. I want to see by the end of the Flash movie, I want to see the DC kind of smoothed out and polished up in a way that we can move forward progressively and cohesively. Like I can forgive every fuck up that's been done before if you truly lay out a path to ensure nothing like that shit will occur anymore. If you can show me that, then I can forgive everything that came before. Another thing also is I want a confirmation that we have a solid, badass, awesome Batman for our main DC universe. I don't care if it's Ben Affleck and we're just going to get him to commit to being a dope Batman, even though he's older. If he's willing to commit and he's going to commit, great. It can be Ben Affleck. If not, then and it could be Robert Pattinson. It could be a completely new guy. I don't even care. I just want a solid Batman's my favorite fictional character of all time, let alone just in DC. I want a solid like this movie universe will be incomplete without a solid Batman. So I need to see that. I would also like a confirmation on what's being done about Superman because Henry Cavill playing Superman anymore has also been kind of like iffy. We've heard like conflicting shit. Yeah, like
because he's my favorite Superman I've probably ever seen.
And I think most people like him as Superman. I think it's just like no one blame any problems with Man of Steel or anything. No one blamed that on Henry Cavill, and he definitely looks the part. So that's what I want from the Flash movie. I want a solid path laid out for the future that will prevent the fuck ups of the past from repeating themselves. And then I want a confirmation on what's going on with Batman, what's going on with the Superman, what's the plan for those in the future. And I would also like to see a hint of like I want to see like a very very rough outline of the plan. Like what are we building to? From
Yeah.
from the end of the Avengers
Yes.
movie, when we saw the after credits scene, was like we saw Thanos on his throne for the first time. That was a very little like, here's where we're going. Here's a little taste of what we're
Mhm.
going to try to do here. I want something like that from Flash. So, yeah.
Don't make it Darkseid, but if you do, do it well.
Darkseid, here's the thing, Darkseid is Thanos level villain, if not even more
Oh,
serious.
he's
So,
way more serious than Thanos.
so to have the Justice League be going up against Darkseid in their first or even second like movie is too fucking soon.
That's what I'm
So
saying. I don't want to see it. It's just you do something else. There's a lot of guys. People have trouble coming up with DC supervillains, like big ones.
Yeah.
So Marvel has a lot of those. That was their shtick, but DC does too. As
And-
there is an entire
Yeah.
Justice League animated series with tons of them, and you can just pick like one of the good ones.
And I
it's great.
also really, really hope that at the end of the Flash movie, we are not going to find out that DC is going to go whole hog into the multiverse concept, because it's also it's too soon for that. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying, like, I know you just said like don't worry about what Marvel's doing, but in a sense that's true. Like, don't worry about what Marvel's doing. Is Marvel doing
Exactly.
Is Marvel doing a multiverse right now? Are they building into that? Yes, they are. Have they earned it? Yeah. They've put in the time and they've earned it, so they get to do that. You guys have not put in the time. You have not made enough good movies. You are not ready to start tackling the DC multiverse yet. So do not think that that is your answer.
Bro, DC is barely ready to tackle the DC multiverse. So like, let's let the movies be in one universe for a while.
Yes.
And then maybe do some Flash. I don't know. Figure it out then. But don't think about it until now.
Yeah.
I'm not even any ideas. Just do it in this universe, and also cancel the Green Lantern. That's my other.
Unless you're gonna do the Earth One, I'm cool with the Earth One story, but that's about it. But anyway, all right, man.
I guess.
All right, man. It's been fun.
All right, dude.
I'll talk to you soon. Later.